Good evening, everyone. With the time being 7 o'clock, I'd like to call this meeting to order. I would just like to say before we begin the meeting that on behalf of council and the staff of the Township of Red Rock, we send our deepest condolences to the family and friends of Mick Grew. He was a great asset to the community, and we thank him for his years of service. He will be missed. So as there's no reports coming out of closed session at this time, the meeting will proceed with closed session after the agenda. So we're going to start off with 3.2 traditional territory acknowledgement. Council of the Township of Red Rock hereby acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Robinson Superior Treaty, and that the land we gather on is home to the Red Rock Indian Band, the Anishinaabeg people, and the Métis people. Can we have a moment of silence? Thank you. Administration advises there are no additions to the agenda. Do any members of council wish to make any amendments to agenda? I see no hands. Can I have a mover and seconder for a motion to approve agenda as presented? Councillor Glenn, Mr. Smith. All in favor? Pick me with the double siding print there. Sorry. 3.4. Are there any declarations of interest to disclose? I see none. So 4 on the presentations and deputations. Tonight we have Stefan Huzan here to speak further on the Tedesco severance consideration. Council will have the opportunity to ask questions as soon as Mr. Huzan has done his delegation. Mr. Huzan?
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. And thank you for the opportunity to make the deputation. And I'm sorry about that my work last month. That was embarrassing. Anyway, I'm here on behalf of the Tedescos to ask simply for 2 things. One is council would council support a resolution confirming that the severance of the subject property, multiple severances are okay on the subject property as a reasonable way of developing the land. In other words, more than 3 lots by severance. In this case, it would be 4 residential lots and in total 4 industrial lots plus a retained lot. Now, the other reason I'm here is to very briefly talk a couple of the points that were raised. Mark's very good. Mark wrote a administrative report last month on August 16th, and he very well analyzed the situation and the potential questions or concerns that might arise from it. So I want to address some of those points. I think again it's pretty simple, and I'm in the second part. The second thing we're asking for is essentially approval in principle, or the concept of yes, go ahead and make your applications. There's nothing, sort of no red flags waving to stop committee from considering committee adjustment applications. So let me start. I provided a copy of the deputation plus some maps, and kind enough to distribute those. I'm going to just go through it as slowly or as clearly as I can, and hopefully then I can answer any questions that you have. So the owner seeks to create 4 industrial lots and 4 residential lots, as well as 1 retained lot by severance. Red Rock, you folks have already approved, the committee adjustment has approved a lot addition, which was to enlarge a lot, which doesn't count as a new lot. And it approved the creation of 1 industrial lot, which in effect created, because it was in the middle, it created 2 industrial lots and a retained lot. Okay. So the owner's severance applications to make a logical enlargement was approved. The owner application to make an industrial lot was approved. So now we're looking for a resolution in support of additional severances, because it seems to be the most logical and appropriate way to develop the property. Section 6.22C of the Red Rock official plan limits severances to 3 plus a retained. Well, this will clearly be more and would require a council resolution of support. Okay, and currently the Tedescos are only eligible for 1 additional severance. So, but this property is very large in size, and in fact, it was originally comprised of 3 previously separate lots. The large size properties such as this one normally require the creation of more than 3 lots to be efficiently developed for the appropriate uses. This property has appropriate frontage along CPR Road, which is open and maintained, and it has the available municipal sewer and water services, and the proposed lots are completely in character with both the existing uses and sizes in the area. And so a plan of subdivision is not required to identify the location of the road or to provide any additional services. And for that reason, the development of these lands is appropriate through severance. And so we're asking for council to pass a resolution that would allow the development of these lands by severance. And the specific numbers would be for the creation of 4 residential lots, 4 industrial lots, and 1 retained industrial lot. So 4 residential lots on the map, they're shown, there's a little green square, the 4 lots, 1, 2, 3, 4, adjacent to the previous industrial lot that was created, and they'd all be about 20 meters by 90 meters, so roughly 65 by 300 feet. Good sized lot. These 4 proposed residential lots are, I think, fairly straightforward. They're similar in size and shape to the adjacent existing residential lots on CPR Road. Again, we have the required services in the road. The owner is aware that people are interested in these larger lots at this location. So for those reasons, because these lots would provide choice and the creation of lots is consistent with meeting demand for residential development in the Red Rock OP. So the owner would apply for the severance as well as for the rezoning of these lands. So the severance of the lands and the rezoning of these lands for residential from IND zone to LDR zone. All of that normally as a condition of approval of severance. So the 4 industrial lots plus the owner has clients very interested in industrial lots for open storage. Again, similar to the existing use on his property and the one that was approved. And the owner would like to do this now first before creating the residential lots. However, there are several planning matters to consider: open storage, future building access, and lots on an existing private industrial road. And all of these are well discussed in the administrative report of August 16th that Mark, your CAO, prepared. It's a good report. We're here to use this opportunity to explain how we think these concerns or matters can logically and simply be resolved, overcome, consistent with the observations in that report. Open storage is the first thing. So the industrial zone in the zoning bylaw allows various building structures and uses as well as open storage. Lots which have only open storage do not require road frontage. Every other use does, but open storage doesn't. The proposed lot, one of them was too small. We've increased that size. So therefore, to conform with all of the requirements of the zoning bylaw, the owner is enlarging the proposed lot 1 to meet the 2-hectare size. The lot would remain accessible by the existing private road that's for the hydro service that's there today. And you can see that in the in the diagram. Lot 2 is quite big. Now the 2 lots there, lot 2 and lot 3, are all south of the former railway track spur line that goes through there, or hydro line, sorry, hydro easement that goes through there. That's what those fellows were interested in. And the lands to the north would be retained by the Tedesco. And so the easement that accesses the lot 2 and 3 would be the right to where the existing driveway, where the existing road is, the right to travel on that road to access lot 2 and 3. So anyway, the open storage, yes, you can do it according to the zoning bylaw. You don't have to have road frontage, and you can use private road access or existing private road access. So the second concern that was notable was that, well, what if some guy wants to build a structure on one of these lots? Well, the fellows who are interested in the land said that no, they're not interested in building any kind of buildings. Cam's been there for years, it hasn't built any buildings, and these would be consistent with that. But we don't know what's going to happen 100 years or 20 years from now. And just in case someone does want to construct a building, they would need road frontage. And so instead of the easement you see on the map is going to be 20 meters, at least 20 meters wide. Originally, it was 8 meters wide, enough to cover the roadway. But 20 meters is the municipal standard for a road. So should sometime in the future someone want to construct a road, then it's the right size for a road if needed. But everyone believes it's unlikely to be needed and certainly premature at this time. So nonetheless, to ensure future municipal road could be created, the owner has enlarged the easement width for the existing private road to a minimum 20 meters. And this change means that some of the residential lots will be a little bit narrower. Originally, they were going to be 75 feet. Now they're like 66 feet or 68 feet or something like that. But we'll work out the technical details of that. So another concern in that administrative report was private industrial road. The proposed lots comply with the zoning bylaw and would be similarly accessed. The existing private road used by Hydro to access the service of power line has actually already been partially extended by CAM and would be further extended if needed to provide access to the proposed industrial lots. Okay, so the owner is prepared to identify, grant, and register an access easement over his retained land to those lots, and also is prepared to construct the gravel road extension to municipal standards, all as conditions of consent approval. We want to make sure that it's a decent road constructed to the municipal standard, even if it is a private road. So oh, okay. Oh, sorry, here we are. I apologize. Future building, lots on a private road. So essentially, the zoning bylaw does allow open storage on lots without municipal road frontage, and that's what's being proposed here. And Tedesco's just one sort of a green light. I go ahead. This doesn't look like there's an oral or doesn't look like there's any sort of significant barriers to doing this. After he gets, if and when council passes a resolution saying that going by severance is okay. I don't want to talk too long. It'd be better if I answered any questions that you have. I hope you have some questions because I'd like to answer them. But generally, the two things: looking for okay to go by severance, and general understanding that open storage makes sense here on a private road in the configuration that's more or less proposed. And then Tedesco would make all the necessary applications, the consent application, the rezoning application, and so on.
Do we have any questions of council or administration?
Good evening, Mr. Sand. I just, out of respect for council this evening, I just wanted to make it aware that I did email you or reply to an email last week to have information to council for this agenda by 3 p.m. Thursday. I received that information at noon today. So in respect for my council, they didn't get a lot of this information. I ran it by the planner again today, Rosalie, who's with us, and we responded with each other at about 5:20 p.m. tonight. So I did get them copies today, but respectfully, I was unaware of a resolution request. I was under the impression this was a deferral discussion. And at this point, I would recommend that we then bring this back for further discussion, because council doesn't have the information I think they should have had at the time that would have met our deadline for the agenda.
I understand your point. I think if more time is required for council to think and talk about this, that's fair. I agree.
Okay.
But I'll be happy to answer. Sorry, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have at the moment.
Do we have any further questions from council?
I don't have any because I need to ask the planner an explanation on some of this stuff. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for your time this evening. We appreciate it. And we will defer this to the next meeting.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for listening, and look forward to hearing back from you.
Thank you. All right, 4.2, we have a presentation for the quarterly report from Aqua. So we'll invite Patrick Couture to present.
Good evening. We'll start with water treatment plant flows. During the month of April and June, the Red Rock drinking water system operated without interruption. Total treated water flow for the system in April was 5,697.69 meters cubed. In May was 5,845.56 meters cubed, and June was 7,352.75 meters cubed. Total flow year to date is 37,954.19 meters cubed. The maximum flow rate from the treatment system to the distribution shall not exceed a rated capacity of 2,722 meters cubed per day. In April, the max flow was 218.51 meters cubed per day. In May, the max flow was 253.41 meters cubed per day. And in June, the max flow was 300.81 meters cubed per day. Wastewater treatment plant flows for the months of April to June. In April to June, the new Red Rock water treatment plant operated without interruption, and the total effluent flow for the system in April was 45,007 meters cubed. In May, 40,361 meters cubed, and in June, 10,532 meters cubed. The total effluent flow year to date is 127,003 meters cubed. The plant capacity for Red Rock wastewater facility is approximately 900 meters cubed per day, and the peak hourly flow rate is 5,000 meters cubed per day. In April, the max effluent flow was 2,860 meters cubed. In May, the max effluent flow was 3,851 meters cubed. And in June, the max effluent flow was 465 meters cubed per day. Compliance summary. All bacteriological and chemical laboratory sampling, as well as distribution chlorine residuals, were taken within the proper timelines as per the Ontario Regulation 170.03, and no adverse result was detected. All staff operating the system are licensed to the required level as per the Ontario Regulation 128.04. Occupational health and safety. There were no new health and safety related concerns or incidents during the reporting period of April to June. Inspection and communication and regulatory authority. We received the final inspection reports and we're waiting for the inspection rating currently. Complaints and concerns. There were no community complaints or concerns throughout Q2. Alarms and callouts. April 7th was our low pH alarm. April 15th was a chlorine leak detector alarm. April 16th was a power interruption. April 16th, 18th, and 19th, we had low pH alarms. May 17th was a low chlorine. May 22nd, low pH and low distribution chlorine. June 4th, June 8th, and June 9th experienced plant shutdown due to low chlorine. As overall responsible operator for the system in Red Rock, it is imperative that Aqua staff be notified of any activities regarding the water system that affect water quality. Communication has been very good between Township and staff regarding levels of communication and appreciated as a safeguard for the community. Council and Aqua in maintaining a safe drinking water system, which delivers reliable potable water to its residents. Capital and project work. Capital recommendations were submitted in 2023. In closing, I would like to thank you for taking the time to review the quarterly operation report for the months of April to June. And if you have any questions or concerns at any time, please feel free to contact me, as I'd be happy to assist you. Thank you.
Do you have any questions from council? Your worship.
Thank you, Patrick. Is it Patrick? Sorry, yeah, it is. The low pH, the chlorine leak detector have all of those issues been resolved? Because that's 11 call outs in 3 months.
I believe so. I'd have to follow up on that, as I did take over this facility by the end of June, sort of early July. I'm not exactly familiar with those exact moments in time. But what I can do is look into that and get back to you on that as soon as I can.
Thank you.
Councillor Gladden?
Just to refresh, total water flow and total effluent flow in June of this year, respectively. What's the fluctuation?
Wait, what was the question?
Sorry, so in June, the water flow went from 558 cubic meters to 73 cubic meters. And in June, for the total effluent flow, it went from 40,000 to 10,000.
Right. Yes, in April and May, sewage treatment plants generally or typically experience higher flows due to the melting of snow and increased influx into the sewage plant. So you will normally see those higher flow numbers in those months.
And the effluent too.
Are there any further questions? Okay, Patrick, I do have one question. Can you just speak to just a little bit about the ORO's responsibility to the system and how extremely important it is for the regulations to be followed, potential punishments and fines? Could you just speak a little to the importance of that ORO position?
Well, the ORO is a position that is held by an operator that is certified to the level of the facility, and that operator will have an overall responsibility of maintaining that facility and making sure that all the regulations are followed on a daily basis. The OIC is generally the one who's responsible for the day-to-day operations of the facility, whereas the ORO has an overall responsibility of the overall performance of the facility per se.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Are there any further questions from council? Okay. All right, thank you, Patrick.
Thank you for having me.
All right, can I have a mover and a seconder for the second quarterly report for the Ontario Clean Water Agency be accepted? Mayor Robinson. Smith. All in favor? Thank you very much. All right, 5.1, the open and closed session minutes from the last regular meeting. Are there any errors or omissions to note in the open session minutes? I'm seeing none. Are there any errors or omissions? Got one resolution here. Both resolutions are together, open and closed. Yeah, okay. Are there any error or omissions in the closed session minutes? Seeing none. Could I have a mover and seconder for both? That's it. Councilor Platt. All in favor? Or all in favor? Okay. All right. Motion is carried. All right, correspondence. First item at 6.1 is information purposes only regarding a notice of public information center for the Ministry of Transportation on the 4-laning from Coghlan Road to McGuire Road. Do any members of council have any remarks on this item? Okay, I see no questions. 6.2, the next item is information purposes only relating to the cruise ship summary from Superior Country. Do any members of council have any remarks on this item? Seeing nothing. All right. 6.3, next item is for information purposes only regarding a thank you from the Ministry of Health for the delegation at the 2023 AMO conference. Do any members of council have any remarks on this item? Seeing nothing. Next item, 6.4, is for information purposes only regarding the Chamber of Commerce awards ceremony on September 14th. Do any members of council have any remarks on this item? Six point five. Next item, 6.5, is for discussion purposes regarding an option to purchase a congratulatory ad in the NWO Sports Hall of Fame's 40th induction dinner and ceremonies. Do any member of council have any remarks? Councilor Gladden.
I would recommend that we would do an advertisement that we did for Lloyd Stansel in 2019 for Billy Sigris.
Councilor Brand.
We actually have two people from Red Rock on here. I'm not sure if council's aware, but Crystal Tusney, that's Crystal Legacy previously. So yeah, so two Red Rock people.
With that, maybe just one with both names on it. But it's just a recommendation.
Okay. Do we have an amount? I believe the amount for the ad, we have to pay inductee page, you have the half page ad, and you have the full page ads.
I think we had a quarter page ad for 150.
Quarter page. Councilor Glad is in motion for a quarter page ad. And a second it by Smith. Okay. So by Councilor Gladden. Smith. And we go with the quarter page ad for both Red Rock residents. Councilor Brand, what are the names? Bill Segrist, Crystal. All right, now all four. Okay. All right, motion is passed. Next item 6.6 for information purposes only regarding a highlight from NOMA on the Northwestern Ontario region. Do any members of council have any remarks on this item? See none. Scroll down here. Pardon me, MPAC property assessment update. The next item 6.7 information purposes only regarding an update from MPAC on the municipal property assessment. Do any members of council have any remarks on this item? See none. All right. So reports from committees, boards, none. We have none. And we are now on to reports from administration, 8.1 Director of Operations. Mr. Westerman. Do any members of council have any questions? Councillor Smith?
How's it going?
Good, good.
Under the wastewater collection, they this year on service visit on September 6th to troubleshoot a system alarm for lift station 2. It shows that it actually wasn't fixed and they have to come back again. When they do come back, are we being charged for a second time for them to come, even though they didn't do the job the first time?
They were actually here today again, and we're not confident that's even fixed now. I haven't got an alarm yet, so that's good news, but it may be an issue with the communication for this alarm. There's 2 telecom boxes, one at the lift station, one at the water plant, that receive the communication, and we've been troubleshooting it for 2 visits now, and it's very difficult to tell if it's fixed or not. Again, I haven't received an alarm yet, so I'm hopeful that it's fixed, but this one's been a bit of a challenge. I haven't come across this issue before.
Yeah, so I guess my question was more to like, although they've been called to fix an issue, they left saying it was fixed. We thought it was fixed according to here, and then when they left, they realized they didn't fix it.
Yeah,
So
well,
it's just,
I mean, I
second call, they charge regardless.
they have to. Yeah.
Any further questions? Council Brad? Sorry.
So I have 2 questions. First on the rec center, regarding the Olympia ice resurfer. Was this a recall? Has it gone back for the rear hydraulic brake lines? Is it a recall?
No, it's not an official recall, but we did discover in the minimal use that we ran it, there was an issue with the hydraulics. It was blowing under high pressure, so it failed a couple times. So we ended up getting Olympia service tech up here, took it apart, we replaced the lines on 2 occasions before they ended up taking it back. What they think the problem was a piece of equipment at the plant itself that cuts into the stainless steel hydraulic line. I don't know if you're interested in all the detail, but it cuts a notch and a furrow seats in the notch, which a compression fitting slides over and tightens. That little notch wasn't getting cut properly according to what they have to tell me. So it just got returned last Thursday, I believe. And they've assured me that they've tested it several hours and it's not blowing now. So hopefully it holds up.
Then
Our next,
And if I may just add to that, that is warranty, that
Yeah.
work. So that Olympia was purchased as part of the original recreation project, I believe in 2019 or 2020. And all that work was done under warranty. And as the director of operations reported, the Olympia is back in Red Rock and ready to be used hopefully at this point.
thank you. I'll go to Mayor Robinson, then back to Council Brand.
Just in regards to that lift station, so it's communication error, it's not people plugging or, you know, disposing.
No,
inappropriate items.
we have been addressing that issue again, though. That's not going away.
Okay, and follow up with the ice server resurfacer. So it'd be normal practice that if, you know, if there was warranty work, that you would use a flatbed, right, to bring it back to the, not drive it down the road to this production plant. So if anybody was to comment saying they seen an ice resurfacer on a flatbed truck, it only makes sense that it would be brought down that way, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Council Brand?
My other question is regarding the dock. So it says here that it's separated at the hinge. Are these docks also anchored like under the water?
To the floor of the lake, yeah, they're moored.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Council Gladden?
this came to mind with regards to the escape road. That's great that you're maintaining it for the upcoming bridge maintenance. I had someone mention that, correct me if I'm wrong, is there a sign on that road? Like when you have going down to the marina, that if there's any problem with the road, you would call a public works number? Is there anything on that road?
There is a sign on both ends of that road stating that the road isn't generally kept for up to usual standards that our secondary roads are maintained. I can't remember exactly what it mentions word for word, but it's sort of a typical warning for the usage of that road.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? I've got no questions for you. My nose is running too much. I apologize.
Oh, yeah. I actually have a question for council concerning the hedge at the rec center. I just wondered what your opinion might be about us removing that hedge. And I know in years past, it's come up at council about removing it. It's something that we generally aren't able to maintain regularly anymore because of the extent of the work involved. I've contracted out a number of times in the past, and I just wonder if the time's come to maybe look at removing it. It would help with snow removal. We can reclaim the sidewalk because there's about 2/3 of it, or you can't even walk down it because the hedge is so overgrown. So I just wonder what council view on that might be.
Mayor Robinson?
I'm in support of removing it. I was many years ago as well, because of the sidewalk, the access. It would help with snow removal as well.
Yeah, I'm myself too. I'm in favor of that as well too. If it's getting in the way, then absolutely. Councillor Smith?
Originally, is it just a decorative feature? Is there any significant reason for a hedge to be there? Is it-
Yeah, I imagine it was at one time. Like I know in the past, the rec staff were able to maintain that regularly, but with the smaller staff that we keep there now, it's not practical for them to take on that task. They're not there for one thing over the course of the summer.
Would removing it relieve stress or like the workload to Public Works? And do you think in the long run, it would save us township money in the maintenance and everything else?
Well, for sure, yeah, for sure. And it's more of, I think it's more practical for snow removal, like I said. And also, you know, we can reclaim that sidewalk. People can use the sidewalk.
I don't hear any opposition to it. I think it's an operational matter. You definitely need to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any more questions for Mr. Westerman tonight? None? All right. Can I have a mover and seconder to receive the report? Councilor Brand? Mayor Robinson? All in favor? Okay. All right. Thanks, Blair. All right. Report from Community Development Officer, item 8.2. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions from council? Too nice here, like
I'm just wondering how much interest you've received regarding the memorial banners.
I have received 4 full order forms, expressions of interest from a couple more who are just finalizing some information. So far that's pretty good. People have approached me like glad we're doing it. They're just communicating with their families and collecting the information. The biggest challenge so far has been finding quality photos for individuals. So hopefully we can get some.
Councilor Smith?
Yeah, my question is about something that's not on here.
You can defer it to the CAO.
Your choice. Bowling alley.
Okay, so as per a previous report, we did not accept the tender that was submitted for the larger recreation center project. JMA was not comfortable with the bid that was received. It was way over budget, so we did not go ahead with that tender. The bowling alley was part of that larger general contractor tendering document. So what has been decided is, as approved by council previously, we're doing the roofing sections this fall. So both the ICIP COVID is the roof section over the curling club area, and the roofing section of the larger recreation center rehabilitation is that Brompton entrance. So previously council approved the bowling alley itself, that tender, but that does require the replacement of the lanes and the installation of the automatic scoring system requires electrical work, which is done through a general contractor tender. So the larger general contractor tender is being redone without the pieces that we are completing this fall, and we'll be going out to the Construction Association of Thunder Bay and advertised in Thunder Bay in January, as we had originally anticipated, to make sure that we get early enough in the schedules of contractors in the area to receive more competitive bids.
So just to comment, I have a question.
Yes.
They're building a large jail, Thunder Bay. So we're gonna have problems getting contractors. Tradespeople are gonna be in Thunder Bay. So just something for us to get used to. If there's things that aren't getting fixed right on time, that's across. There's gonna be a shortage. So just heads up, everyone.
So we do have a fairly decent timeline with this. We don't like to extend projects to the full extent that the funding allows. You want it to be done in a year, year and a half, but the full funding for the ICIP culture program is 2026. We don't want this program to go that long. So it really depends on the schedules that the contractors come back with in their responses to the tender, when certain pieces are going to be done. Now, what we've stipulated in our tender documents in the past is that work gets done when the space isn't being used. So essentially the bowling alley work would be done in the off season between March and September, when we don't have our bowling league and members of the public using the bowling alley. So similarly with any ice plant work in the header system, that would be done during the off season. So there is a little bit of scheduling in there as well that has to be done with any of the responses. So we're going one more season without the new bowling alley. So hopefully when we come back next year with the bids that come back, it's on the list of top things to be done. Is the bowling alley is a priority for the community.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
that answers your question.
Any further questions, council? Mayor Robinson?
So under number 5, the Brompton Stadler Frost Street. So that paving will be done at the end of this month. So I know like there's the manhole cover on Rouse and Stadler. Now, will there be paving going around Stadler to Frost Street? Like, is that going to be?
So the entire length of Stadler from Rouse to the escape road was not part of this project. So the program stipulates that whatever you remove, you replace. So along the length of Stadler, we only did relining. So the only pieces that get replaced are the access points. Are those impacted that by the relining process, or when we had failures in the lines and they were replaced, those areas are patched. So that length does not get done, but there are 3 access points along the length of Stadler that would be repaved, as well as the manhole at the corner of Rouse and Stadler that was recently done earlier this month, the end of August, where the new curb went in. So those access points will be repaved, and the easement or the trail between Brompton and the escape road will be graded and re-leveled to help prevent pooling.
Any further questions then? None? All right, thank you very much. I have a mover, seconder, all right. So Gladden. So Brand. All in favor to pass the report? All right. Thank you. All right, 8.3 CAO activity. We have any questions for CAO Figlamini?
I just would like to get his update first, whatever.
Lee, we'll let you take the floor, Mark.
Certainly. Well, thank you. I think I'll highlight first out of the summary activity, the bottom bullet, meetings with the Infrastructure Ontario on the debenture loan program. I'd like to report that as of Friday, the Township of Red Rock was officially approved for our debenture program. So what that does for us is under this administration and this council came into the situation where we had the Brompton Road project as well as the Recreation Center project underway, approved and funded. To the date of Friday, technically, we were struggling with the financial portion for that project, and internally the team's been working hard for quite some time. We can officially say that we are approved by the Ministry of Infrastructure now on the loans program. So move forward on those programs, be able to take care of that. So that's a really positive story and a lot of hard work from internally. So I believe that debenture is about 1.25 million or just under 1.4, I believe. And that's money to complete and pay the township's portion of the 2 projects that we took on back in, I believe, 2019, 2020. So that's really good news. The AMO conference summary, if there was any questions, I can maybe take that at the end, but Township of Red Rock was quite busy at AMO. We were able to secure 5 delegations with ministers. We spoke with the Ministry of Infrastructure mostly based on bridge number 1 and long-term plan for funding replacement, along with development potential development situations in Red Rock and potential funding models there. We went on to meet with the Minister of Finance and were able to discuss the impact assessment release date, which we saw in the agenda tonight, which the Ministry of Finance has announced that we will still be using 2016 valuations moving forward, and there's a review process in 2024. So to make it clear out of that delegation, it is not coming forward in 2024, it's being reviewed in 2024. So again, we will continue to use 2016 assessed values. We also took the opportunity to address with the Minister of Finance our budget shortfalls and the lack of funding that flows through the province to municipalities. And that was a very good discussion. We did have MPP Kevin Holland sit in with us, representing the Conservative government in that discussion. So that was another really good meeting. We went on to meet with the Minister of Indigenous Affairs and Northern Development, Mr. Greg Rickford, and we're able to discuss some potential development programs and developments in the Township of Red Rock as well. Finally on the Monday, we met with the Minister of Transportation and Minister Caroline Mulrooney. We addressed 628 and the need for refinishing 628. We did get a verbal commitment that day that 628 is on the docket to be fully resurfaced along with ditching, and for the year 2025 season, work is commencing on that now, and we'll see that potential full replacement is what we were told in the year 2025. Following that, the next day we met with the Minister of Health, Minister Sylvia Jones, where we addressed what we feel is an unfair situation with EMS based on the current structure, and again had some very good conversations there. So Township of Red Rock was quite busy. It's pretty significant to obtain 5 delegations. I think that was a very successful trip down to Toronto. We were able to get the ears of 5 different ministers, so that's never a bad thing. Did want to address updates on speed of travel options at White Boulevard. We've looked at significant options. We met as well down in London with a few of the companies that can provide signage and or speed bumps of that time. We did see a price on speed bumps where you could get 4 rubber speed bumps in around that $1,000 range. At this time, coming into the winter season, we're recommending that we continue to monitor. We maybe do talk more frequently with the OPP. I don't believe that they would handle a winter, especially a Northern Ontario winter, but we could look at that moving forward. There is a speed limit posted based on the Ontario Traffic Act, and we're certainly have no trouble speaking with the OPP again. Some of the general information we got is the signage may help, but definitely a ticket, if it's being monitored, helps a lot more. So what we are recommending is we continue to monitor it and look at it again in the spring, and maybe do look at speed bumps at that time. The Red Pebbles Cafe, first of all, we would like to thank Lucy for her years of service, and just announce that we have advertised for a lease opportunity. I can say that I have definitely received interest in the facility, and again, we wanted to thank Lucy for everything she's done. We've had a good relationship, and I believe with some recent conversations that I've had with Lucy, we continue to have a good relationship outside of sometimes what is reported outside of the township office. The lunch hour office closure, I wanted to bring this to council as a temporary, I'm not sure if it's a solution, but a temporary option right now. We are seeing a staffing shortage right now in the office due to an illness of one of our employees who I certainly wish nothing but the best in her health recovery. What it does for us at times, especially this upcoming week, with some additional roles that myself and the deputy clerk have, we're looking at extensive training over the next little bit based on the CEMC as well as the AMCTO course. What it does is it leaves us with one member in the office during this time. So what I'm recommending is effective the 18th of September that we put a temporary office closure between 12:30 and 1:30 in respect for whoever is left in the office by themselves, and commit to reviewing that again in November when we can have a full staff and healthy staff. I think that's all I had, unless there was any further questions of me.
All right, I'll open up for questions for council. Councilor Brandt?
Regarding the staggered lunch, is that approved by the union? Or does that have to go through the union to?
It's not a staggered lunch, it's a closed lunch. Will be closed between 12:30 and 1:30. And it's discussed with the union, it's fine, and it's the recommendation of the CAO.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean staggered, I meant yeah, sorry, my apologies, yeah, okay, thank you.
Any further questions from council? Mayor Robinson?
Oh, sorry. I forgot I'm not running it. I do like the idea of coming back in the spring with the speed bumps. It was quite interesting what Nancy and I had seen down there. So the it says 4 portable speed bumps, they can be removed in the fall. Also that emergency vehicles, it was wide enough that vehicles can get across, but as a personal vehicle, at least one tire would have to hit that bump. So they're basically required to slow down. So, and I think, basically $1,000 is, it's a start anyways. So I'm glad that we're going to continue to look into that. And yes, thank you to Lucy in Red Pebbles for all that she's done for the community. It's unfortunate how rumors get started and it just snowballs from there. But anyways, we thank her and all her staff over the years. And I'm 100% in favor of the closure at lunchtime to support staff.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything to reiterate what the mayor said, and for 5 delegations, that's fantastic work, Mark. Keep up the good work. I don't think you get told that enough, but you were doing a fantastic job. You're a huge asset to this community. You're a huge asset to the whole North Shore. Everybody I talked to, Thunder Bay, you are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments from council? Okay, can I have a mover and seconder? And all in favor? Okay. All right, 8.4. Next report is 8.4, report on electronic monitoring policy. Do any members of council have any questions with regards to this policy?
I don't. I believe it's common practice in most businesses or municipalities. We have it where I work. So.
Absolutely. May I have the mover and seconder if there's no further questions? Mr. Gladden? Smith? All right, all in favor? All right, motion is passed. All right, 6.3. Just let me scroll down here. I apologize. I've got 6.3 as AMO letter of thank you. Those information. I am double-sided page. That is what happens when I just was busted. I print one side. Sorry, everyone. 8.5, next report is 8.5 is for discussion purposes relating to the report on arena ice for the 23-24 season. Do members of councils have any questions for Mr. Figlomini? Mayor Robinson?
I've already shared this with the CAO, but I've been approached by teams in Thunder Bay looking for ice, asking when we're going to put in ice. So I just forwarded that information off to Mark and yeah, just letting everybody else aware.
That's fantastic. I was thinking about this as an opportunity as well too. I know that since our minor hockey folded, there is a lot of kids now that aren't playing hockey. I think now is the perfect time to take this winter and do something, a program to start teaching kids how to skate, whether it be figure skating or whatnot. We have a lot of kids in town, so I'm in full favor of this. I want to see what we can do here and make this work. Councilor Brand?
Do you have anything in place yet for what will, how we'll start off the season, like pre-skating for kids or shinny? Is there any type of schedule that you're looking at the moment?
Well, no, what we were, I mean, obviously it comes with the direction of council to put ice in. So as we hear that by what I see tonight, I think is a nod that that we will put, we've already had discussions about exactly that, possible learn skate programs, those kind of things. We would like to put an extensive advertisement out into the city as well. We know that they are struggling at times for ice time. So with the direction to install ice, we will meet internally and come up with some robust plans. But yeah, that's the plan. We want to see the facility act as a community hub, and we'll work hard to do that.
Councilor Brand?
Just wanted to ask, will there be an outdoor rink this year or is that done now?
The Township of Red Rock does not really have a hand in the outdoor rink, other than we do assist. So that's a question for the volunteers of that committee, as opposed to the Township of Red Rock.
And definitely, if the ice is going in, I think that there's going to be a full-on support for that. So instead of maybe the ODR takes some time, and then hopefully kids will get down to the rink so it can be used. I know I'll probably be in the best shape of my life after this year. I say that every year, but Paiute Mountain is looking pretty good. Councilor Smith?
Just kind of from what Gord was saying, as long as you can maybe put in an adult to learn to skate too, because I would like to learn to stop.
I can help you with that. Any other comments, questions? All right, sounds like the ice is going in. So kids, if you're watching, get out and learn to skate. I know none of them are watching, but 8.6, Bruno's contract. And Mr. Figlomini, you have anything for us?
I do. I would at this time like to report that the final sale that Bruno's contracting, Mr. DeGregorio Developments, now does own all of the property they require for the potential development that they had proposed to council a while back. They were able to negotiate the lands from CN Rail. I met with the team from Bruno's last week, and what he had asked me to do was to approach council with a few different options and discussions. He also wanted to make it aware to council that he is willing to attend the next council or any council meeting in the future to answer these questions himself. But at this time, and of course, it's for information purposes only, and we need no decisions now, but we just wanted council to be aware of a couple of different options. So if you look at the map that's attached, that is what I'm calling option 1. So what you see there, along with a very, very preliminary costing forecast that was shared with the township back in, I believe, 2019 or 2020, prior to my time, What you see is option one is to provide the map that is showing, so the design that is showing, along with providing water and sewer to the facility. So that number of 629,000 again is basically a preliminary estimate, but let's use it basically for discussion purposes. That would be what it would cost the township to service that development. So basically what you're looking there is bringing the infrastructure to the development, and then what would be a lift station to pump the sewage, right? So that's what you're looking at there. He again said, you know, there's many ways to look at this project, and that's why he wanted to bring these topics to discussion. And he provided a couple of other options that he wanted me to have council think about. So if you, I guess option two would be if you provided water only, which would be then put the lots onto a septic system. Option three would be to provide no services, and the system would be on well, pumping, and or septic. And the reason he wanted to provide those options is if you looked at option three, for example, there would be really no cost to the township out of pocket. Now, when he looks at this plan, he's very open when he says he wants this to be what's best for the township of Red Rock, as well as everyone involved. So knowing that if you built option one, if that's where council decided to go in the future, it would cost us that amount of money or more, and you could get this projected drawing. If you alter it and change it, obviously you need more space for septic and things like that. So they would change the design of the drawing. So the schematic of the drawing would go down with the options, right? So what he needs to know in the near future, and he will address us, is the fact that what's determined by this is the fact that you would need to design where the road is going in. So again, he's not looking at any major timelines, and he's more than willing to come and talk to council at this time based on what they'd be looking at now is basically a clearing of the property and starting there. So the other thing to consider is if that number was 629,000, for example, or more, what you may see in a development of any type is kind of a staggered build, right? So you would have to put out $629,000, say, in year one, but it might take you 25 years or more to get to the projected development, right? Because you might only see 3 or 4 houses a year. So it's again, he comes in, he develops the land, we provide the services to the land, and then he sells the lots that way. So just some food for thought on those 3 options. Again, you have option one of you know, letting him know in the future here as a discussion whether you want to go with option one, which is to provide water and sewer to that development. And then of course there's 2 other options you could go with as well. So I can pose any questions, and I can certainly let him know if council is interested in having him come to the next or a future council meeting.
Okay, Councillor Smith.
I'm just curious what the return on investment is for the town if we went with like option one. How long would it be to recuperate that $630,000? Is that, you know, just, and then also, is it typical for the town to float the entirety of supplying the services, or is it on the developer as well to maybe offer compensation, or, like, you know, to cover some of the costs as well, since we're going to be servicing his land that he wants to build on?
Yeah, I think his projected estimate was adding about $25 million to assessment. But again, that would be your final projection of this project, right? So it's a really good question, and something that I think personally we would really have to look at, because I think if you looked at it 25, 30 or more years from now, you would see, if everything lined up and all the stars aligned, you would see a significant increase to the township's revenue. But right off the bat, I mean, I think personally you'll see another cost to the township to develop. Generally, it is the township's responsibility in these cases to provide the services to the development, and then the development is so you would provide the main lines, right? So both water and sewer, if that was the option you went. So again, it would be a project that we'd be looking at funding options for, and we're able to secure after about a year and a half the funding we needed for existing projects that we got on the go. So I think we would have to, be cautious in where we'd go, and Mr. DiGregorio is certainly willing to work with us to make it a project that's good for everyone.
Councilor Brand?
So a couple questions. If we went with the option one, would he be putting in still only a couple houses a year, or would he be going in and putting in everything?
So he's using his projected numbers of a couple of year, because you got to remember, he's the developer. He's building houses if you want him to build the house as he sells the lot. So so he's not coming in and building all those houses. He's developing the land with the potential of then selling those properties, and hopefully as a business person building the homes designed to those properties. Not necessarily is that the case. I mean, he may sell somebody a lot who chooses to build a house too. So in his words, this might be a 25-year or more project to see full potential.
Yeah, just being part of this from the start and actually working on subdivisions at one point. I think the water and sewer looks fantastic. However, the design, the way it's laid out, if you're looking at the back lots, which at one time, I believe those were supposed to be either condos or apartments. We've got to look at too, if there's 26 spots here and we're only bringing in 26 residents and 26 homes, that's different than say a 100-unit apartment that's overlooking everything. And you're bringing in, 150 people into town. So, I mean, for the greater good of the town, we need to know, how many people is this going to hold? Is it going to give us, what we need here? It's going to sustain itself. I wouldn't mind to have them come out and see the plan.
Yeah, and I think that's a good idea, and I think that's something that I would highly encourage, is have them come and address council, because this is a significant project. In our discussions, he does tell me there is interest. He does have people obviously that are aware of the fact that he owns property in the township of Red Rock, and they're interested in the house. I'm not sure if anyone here on council has any knowledge of the Rossport area, but Nickel Island would be an example of a similar type of development. And I'm not sure the exact number of homes on Nickel Island, but I believe it's something like 40 or more. And it's really what they call a suburb of Rossport, really, and it's an unserviced area. It's built and developed on septic and or wells or pumping water from the lake. So, and yeah, it's a significant development with a lot of newer and beautiful homes.
Councilor Brand?
Last question. I'm not familiar with septic and wells. So if that's the route we went, would each property have its own separate well and septic? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that would be the general, and I'm not sure that's where it would be great to have him come down. Is I'm not sure, because part of the development did talk about like condos / apartments as well. But again, he's more than happy to come down. He's happy and to have been able to acquire all of the land he needs to potentially develop, and happy to come and talk further with council.
Any further questions? None? Okay. On to 9.1, exciting part of bylaws. Next item, 9.1 is a bylaw to appoint an integrity commissioner from the Township of Red Rock. Do members of council have any questions? Councilor Brand?
I have a few. There's actually a typo in his name, but that's, I'm sure that'll get picked up later. So it says here, that bylaw 2019-1193 is to be repealed. So has this been terminated by either party already? Or is this one still in effect?
So the bylaw that will be repealed was actually passed by council without a signature from without signing the final documents back in, I believe it was before my time. So so currently we have a bylaw that states two integrity commissioners are in place for the Township of Red Rock. One no longer acts as an integrity commissioner, and one contract was never finished. So it is an outright repeal of a bylaw that was passed previous, and this is a cleanup of the process. So it appoints, or if council decides to appoint, it appoints Daryl Matson, who was appointed the integrity commissioner back in 2019. But this cleans it up, as well as lists the 4 schedules that are required to meet the bylaw parameters for appointing an integrity commissioner. So there was a previous bylaw signed by council, but for lack of better words, it really shouldn't have been signed by council at that time, because it was never approved by Mr. Matson. We had a verbal commitment to work through this process once we discovered this, and Mr. Matson agreed to stay on as the integrity commissioner of the township. What we need to do now is formalize the appointment and remove Mr. Camiso from the bylaw and formally appoint Mr. Matson as the integrity commissioner for the Township of Red Rock under the parameters of the 4 schedules attached.
Councilor Brand?
So the previous bylaw, the 2019-1193, I pulled that off our website, and it does have Mr. Matson's signature on it and Mr. Camiso's.
Yeah, so it wasn't completed to the schedules. If you look at the previous bylaw, as I stated, it does not have the schedules required to appoint an integrity commissioner. So it was never ever formally signed and witnessed at the time.
Thank you.
Any further questions? May I have a mover and seconder to pass bylaw number 2023-1335 to appoint integrity commissioner to the Township of Red Rock be passed? Councilor Brad? Smith? All in favor?
And sorry, but I will check on there is the 2 different spellings of the name. I will correct it to the one that is correct. Okay.
All right, 9.2, next item is an item to bylaw to adopt procedures with respect to integrity commissioner protocol. Do members of council have any questions? There's no questions? Okay, can I have a motion to pass bylaw number 2023-1336 to adopt procedures with respect to integrity commissioner required protocol? By Mayor Robinson. Councilor Brand. All in favor? Okay, this motion is passed. 9.3, we have some feedback. Used to that, I apologize. Next item, bylaw to establish or regulate the Red Rock Volunteer Fire Department. Do you have any members of council have any questions with regards to this? Counselor Smith?
Is this new? That we didn't have anything before?
Oh, we did have a very outdated one, and I believe it was in May, late May, we brought the report to council and were directed to come back and bring it back to a bylaw. So we did have one. We will be replacing that bylaw. And I forget the date, but it was old.
2020.
All right, so bylaw number 2023-1337 to establish, regulate Red Rock Volunteer Fire Department. Any further questions? Can I have a mover? Mr. Gladden? Seconder? Smith? All in favor? Motion is passed. Midpoint 3. All right, item 10, new business. We have none. Unfinished business, none. All right, so 12.1 is next item on the agenda is closed session portion of the meeting. May I have a mover or seconder to go into closed session. Come on, quit laughing over there. Two gigglers down at the end there. It's feeding back here. Smith and Gladden. All in favor? All right. So at 8:21, we will be going into closed session. Motion is carried. On the authorities as printed on the agenda. Thanks, everyone. All right, welcome back, everybody. Resolution arrives from closed session, time being 9:07. May I have a mover and a seconder? Motion arise. Councilor Gladden, Smith. All right, we discuss personal matters and litigations. Okay, all in favor? All in favor to rise? All right, we now have the confirming bylaw 223. The next time bylaw to confirming proceeding council. So any questions with regards to the proceeding? I'll step here. Can I have a mover and seconder for the proceeding bylaw? Councilor Gladden. I think I missed on it, Councilor Brand. Okay, you're a mover and seconder. I'll just vote, sorry. All in favor? Okay, sorry, everyone. I have a little bit of a cold brewing here. Okay. All right, so please note the next meeting of council will be held on October 2nd, and the meeting is now adjourned as of 9:08. As of yet, the time hasn't been announced. Thanks, everyone.